WWE may have a problem with Oba Femi. And no, the problem is not Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar. That's huge. That match makes sense from a spectacle standpoint. The problem is WWE told us the rules, made us accept the rules, and now it looks like they may be trying to bend the rules because a bigger match showed up. This is where I have to stop and ask a simple question. What was the point of King of the Ring? Welcome to Pro Wrestling Quickie. I'm Tristen Law, semi-retired pro wrestler and your host. You don't have much time, so let's have a quickie. At Night of Champions, Oba Femi beat Jey Uso and won King of the Ring. That victory was supposed to come with a world title match at SummerSlam. Not sometime after SummerSlam, not whenever he feels like it, SummerSlam. That was the prize. Then Raw happens. Oba comes out, Brock gets involved, and now we're looking at Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar inside of a Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam. Let me be clear. I want to see that match. You want to see that match. Brock and Oba inside Hell in a Cell feels like a monster movie. It feels like two forces walking into a structure where only one of them should be able to walk out the same. That's not the issue. The issue is the championship opportunity Oba earned beating Jey Uso in the King of the Ring tournament at Night of Champions. Because Oba said something on Raw that sounded cool in the moment. He basically said, the title is always going to be there, and he'll take it whenever he wants. That's a strong line. That sounds like a man who believes the world moves on his time. But there's a difference between a strong line and clean booking logic. If the King of the Ring prize is a SummerSlam world title match, then the opportunity is not always going to be there. The title might always be there. The opportunity should not always be. This is where WWE has to be careful, because wrestling fans are not as stupid as the general population thinks we are. We understand pivots, surprises. We understand Brock Lesnar showing up changes the entire temperature inside the room. But when you give us a tournament and you tell us the tournament has a prize, that prize matters. That's what makes the tournament and the matches feel important. That's what makes the winner feel important. If Oba can just put the title shot in his wallet and use it whenever he wants, then the WWE didn't give him a title match at SummerSlam. They gave him a Money in the Bank without calling it Money in the Bank. And that's not the same thing. Money in the Bank has its own rules. King of the Ring has its own rules. You can't just mix them together because it's convenient. Now, there is a way that this works. There is a version of the story where WWE is actually respecting the rules. Oba fights Brock at SummerSlam. Oba beats Brock at SummerSlam. Then later that night, after the world title match, Oba walks out and says, I'm the King of the Ring, I earned my opportunity, and I'm taking it tonight. That works. That honors the stipulation. That makes Oba look like a warrior. That says Oba was never really putting the title on hold. He just had a giant standing in front of him, and he decided to knock that giant down first. That version protects everybody. It protects the King of the Ring tournament in 2027. It protects the Oba Femi character. It protects the logic of the story and makes SummerSlam feel even bigger. But I'm going to push back. I don't love the idea of Oba Femi walking out after the champion already had war and saying, now I'll take my shot. That doesn't feel like Oba. That feels like somebody trying to pick up the scraps. And Oba Femi should not be picking up scraps. Oba Femi's supposed to be the ruler. He's not supposed to be waiting for someone else to weaken the champion so he can slide him through the door. That's not his character. This is the same man who called Brock Lesnar out. The same man who stood across from Brock Lesnar and didn't blink once. This is a man who carries himself like he believes violence is not a threat, it's a language. So if Oba spends all his time calling Brock a coward, calling Brock out, standing there like the biggest warrior in the room, then he cannot turn around and act like a coward with the title opportunity. That would hurt him. Not because he wins or loses, but because the behavior would not match the character. Sure, wins and losses matter, but behaviors matter too. If Oba chooses Brock over the title, then fine, that can work. But there has to be a consequence. If he chooses Brock and he does not take the title shot at SummerSlam, then the title shot should expire, period. Because that makes the choice mean something. That gives the character weight. That tells us Oba was so obsessed with finishing Brock Lesnar that he was willing to sacrifice the very thing that he earned. That's interesting. That is character. That is real decision making. But if he chooses Brock, beats Brock, or loses to Brock, and then walks back in September, October saying, I still want my match, then I'm sorry. That's weak. That means King of the Ring no longer has any rules. That means the prize is flexible. That means the WWE wanted a tournament to feel important, but they didn't want to be locked into the result of the tournament. And that's bad booking logic. I'm not saying it's a bad match. I'm saying it's bad logic. A lot of people are going to hear this and say, why are you complaining? Brock versus Oba in Hell in a Cell in SummerSlam is a huge match. Yes, it is. That's the easy part. WWE is great at giving us something that looks big. Big doesn't automatically mean smart. Big doesn't automatically mean that the rules no longer matter. And that's my issue. I'm not asking WWE to avoid Brock versus Oba. I'm asking WWE to follow the rules that they created. If the rule was King of the Ring winner gets a world title shot at SummerSlam, then that opportunity needs to happen at SummerSlam. Or it needs to die at SummerSlam. Those are the clean options. Anything else feels like WWE is trying to have it both ways. They want the prestige of the King of the Ring. They want the attraction of Brock Lesnar. They want Oba to feel like a monster. They want the title shot to still be hanging around later. But at some point, storytelling needs boundaries. If the rules can change whenever WWE wants a bigger match, then the stakes start to disappear. Once the stakes disappear, the audience stop trusting the story. That's why this matters. This is not about just one match. This is about how WWE teaches us how to watch. If you are telling us a tournament winner gets a title match at SummerSlam, then we watch through that lens. We invest through that lens. We fantasy book through that lens. We argue through that lens. Then when you change it without a clear explanation, you make us feel like we cared more about the rules than you did. So here's where I land. Oba versus Brock inside of a Hell in a Cell is a spectacular SummerSlam match. I have zero problem with the match. I have a problem with what it might do to the King of the Ring prize. If Oba beats Brock and still takes his title shot at SummerSlam, then I give WWE credit. That's bold, that's clean, that makes Oba look like a killer. If Oba chooses Brock and forfeits the title shot, I can live with that too. That means he made a choice and choices have consequences. But if Oba puts the title shot on hold and comes back later like nothing happened, then WWE wasted the rule. And maybe they wasted our time with the 2026 King of the Ring too. The win only matters if the prize matters. WWE didn't book a bad match. They booked a great match next to a rule they still need to explain. The title may always be there, but the opportunity should not. That's your Pro Wrestling Quickie.